Until 2002, we didn't know what was at the center of our galaxy, the Milky Way. We knew we were rotating around something, but it took us until the 21st century to figure out it was a supermassive black hole, with a mass 4 million times bigger than our Sun, located in a region of the Milky Way called Sagittarius A star. The discovery took place after we came up with the infrared smoke alarm. I can hardly imagine having to travel long distances without wheeled luggage, but these didn't pop up until 1970. If you think about it, the astronauts who went to the moon actually had to carry their baggage in the spaceship physically. The application for the U.S. patent for the wheeled luggage was granted back in 1972, but to be fair, those first ones weren't exceptionally reliable. They had problems like wobbling and tipping because the large suitcases were mounted on narrow-wheeled bottoms. If you look at pictures of 1940s film stars, you'll see that their hair was nice and slicked back. Did you know that based on recent discoveries, even ancient Egyptians used some hair-molding substance? What they used, though, wasn't hair gel, if that's what you're thinking, because we only came up with this invention in the 1960s. What people used for hairstyling back then in the 1940s was called Brill cream, which had more of a waxy consistency and was invented in 1929. Hair gel, as we know it today, came a bit later and was invented by a man named Louis Montoya. It soon became trendy because it wasn't as greasy as previous products. Speaking of bathrooms, and I am about to, back in ancient Roman times, they used some sort of, wiping devices, but they were sticks with a sponge on top. Individually perfumed sheets of paper that had the same purpose appeared to have been documented in China back in 589 CE. However, in the U.S., medicated paper for the water closet was marketed in the late 1850s, but the soft and comfortable variant of toilet paper was commercialized only in the 1930s, with the added bonus of being completely splinter-free. And I think we can all appreciate that. This one may not seem so recent, but hear me out. Modern research revealed that Saturn's rings are less than 100 million years old or so. That may seem like a lot, but if you think that the solar system formed about 4.5 billion years ago, it does shift your perception a bit, right? There are species of sharks on Earth that have been around in our waters 4 times longer than Saturn's rings. We figured this out using recent data regarding the mass of Saturn's rings and their ratio of dust and ice. With many of us resorting to e-commerce more and more these days, it's challenging to look at the traditional supermarket as some revolutionary invention. But we didn't have these for as long as you'd think either. Do you know how the first supermarket appeared? Well, back in 1916, a shop owner named Clarence Saunders needed a solution to make his job less labor-intensive, since shopping around then meant he had to pick out all the products from the aisles and even deliver them to customers. So he thought about a new shop layout with a turnstile entry. People had to browse the shop in a single direction. He also made sure they were passing by all the available products. Customers could pick their items themselves and had to take their produce home. The shop owner could lower his prices with added efficiency, since he needed fewer people to run the business. Did you know there's still a state in the U.S. where wearing a seatbelt isn't mandatory? Historically, using a seatbelt was voluntary, but people being the way they were, safety needed some enforcement. The state of New York was the first one to pass a law that enforced seatbelt wearing while driving, but only on December 1, 1984. Still, to this day in New Hampshire, there are no laws on the matter. The modern can opener, the one with the spinning wheel, was first introduced to the market in 1870. Now, that may not be remarkable, but it seems odd when you think canned foods were already available for some decades. Before this invention, we were told to literally cut around the top of the can near the outer edge with a chisel and hammer. You got a meal and an excellent workout all in one. Did you know that standardized time became enforceable by law only in 1880? The current system that we use now, GMT, for Greenwich Mean Time, became a common practice in most countries even later, somewhere by the end of the 1920s. Now, we used to estimate what time it was by looking at the sun's position in the sky. We then evolved to using clocks, but they were still dependent on the sun's position in a particular town or village. That meant time could differ slightly between two neighboring communities. And it wasn't that big of a deal for us until the invention of trains. As we started to travel faster and on longer distances, we needed to figure out a way to know when a train would leave and reach a certain destination, which could be helpful for all travelers in various locations. And frankly, it was about time.
Black holes are like omnivores. They'll eat anything in their way if it gets close enough, including planets, stars, clouds of gas, or some very unfortunate intergalactic travelers. Not that it really gets hungry and goes after space objects, it simply swallows whatever comes nearby. It stretches giant space bodies until they're thin, like spaghetti, and rips them apart atom by atom. A black hole is a huge amount of matter that comes in a very small package. It's like you squeeze a star 10 times bigger and more massive than the sun into a small area with the diameter of New York City. You get an extremely massive, compact, and dense pit with gravity so strong, not even light can escape, not even another black hole. They don't have a fixed point in space. Stars, planets, asteroids, comets, black holes, and everything in the universe is in constant motion. That's why things get so chaotic from time to time. Researchers found a giant black hole at the heart of one galaxy being eaten by an even bigger one. A black hole can get extremely big. At the centers of most giant galaxies are black holes that can grow millions to billions of times the mass of our sun. One of the ways to become so big is by eating others of its kind. A black hole merging with another black hole is one of the most energetic and powerful things in the universe. Picture this: 1.3 billion years ago, two black holes are circling around each other. The bigger one pulls the smaller black hole inwards, and now they're locked together in a spiral. Through time, that orbit starts decaying, but very, very slowly. These two black holes are constantly getting closer and closer. As they approach one another, the disks of orbiting dust and gases that surround them mix and create an intense towering vortex. It extends and goes pretty high above the center of that disk. At some point, they finally merge into one extra big, supermassive black hole. As they're merging, they kick out gravitational waves. These waves tell us a lot about black holes, but they can't reveal their precise position. So, scientists need some electromagnetic signal that will find the black hole's location, like radio waves, X-rays, or a flash of light. We can't see black holes, but we can detect their effect on space objects that are surrounding them. When a black hole passes through a cloud of matter, its strong gravity will pull matter inward. If a star or a planet comes close enough, the same will happen. The attracted matter then accelerates, which means starts to move very quickly and heats up. The black hole then starts emitting X-rays that radiate in the area surrounding it. The energy of X-rays affects the neighborhood and can, for example, spur the growth of new stars. And finally, bam! They collide. It's a massive burst of energy, one of the biggest bangs ever since the Big Bang. In less than a second, that collision emitted more energy than all of the stars in the visible universe together at the same time. Black holes can become huge, but not necessarily. Stellar mass black holes have a mass similar to the Sun, and they can be very small. The one scientists found in 2019 is located 10,000 light years away from us and is only 12 miles across. They really have a reputation for destruction, but black holes are just another source of gravitational force, similar to stars. That means it's possible for a space body to orbit them, if it moves fast enough, of course. Let's say there's a black hole with the same mass as the Sun. The speed a space body would have to move at is the same as the one needed to orbit our Sun, if the distance is the same. That's a theory. In reality, planets don't really orbit black holes, because those that have a mass similar to our parent star are mostly the remnants of giant stars that ran out of nuclear fuel and eventually exploded. That's how black holes are created in the first place. And chances are that none of those planets nearby will survive it. But 30 years ago, scientists discovered the first planets beyond our solar system. These planets were found orbiting a pulsar, which is also some sort of supernova remnant. We don't know how they survived the explosion of their parent star. It's possible they may have been created after the destruction from debris that formed after the explosion. Scientists even have a theory that black holes are possibly wormholes, something like tunnels to other galaxies. That means they don't destroy objects they swallow, but send them somewhere. The theory says the object that enters and then goes out on the other side leaves the tunnel through something opposite of the black hole, a white hole. It probably looks similar to its companion, with all that spinning and similar mass. There could be a ring of gas and dust around the event horizon. The event horizon is the point of no return, the part of a black hole where nothing escapes. Unlike a black hole, a white hole lets light and all the matter leave, but none of that will be able to enter the portal once again. About 50 years ago, Stephen Hawking realized that black holes leak energy. Scientists then developed the theory that a white hole could be born out of a black hole. They're still not sure how the black hole disappears, but in this scenario, it would grow so small it no longer can have such strong gravity that makes it swallow other objects. So, it might turn into a white hole then. Such a hole would be similar in mass to something really light, like human hair. It wouldn't be so dramatic as its black hole ancestor, but it would still hide mysteries in its interior, the information of all space objects it had swallowed previously. It would eventually spit out that information and get so big, it would dominate the universe. White hole behavior, opposite of black holes and all that sucking the matter inward, could be compared to the Big Bang explosion, where the universe is expanding and new objects are forming. But even if something like this happens, it may only be possible trillions of years from now. And there's an issue. Even if some big white holes did form somewhere in space, they probably wouldn't last too long. Outgoing objects would collide with the matter in orbit, so the whole system would collapse and turn into a black hole once again, since they're also formed after supernova explosions. Stars, asteroids, comets, galaxies, and planets, all those space things we can see, make up nearly 5% of the universe. About 25% could be dark matter, a mysterious substance we can't actually see, but assume it's there because everything in the universe moves to its gravitational tune. This dark matter is kind of like a spider's web. It holds all those galaxies that move pretty fast together. Its evil twin is called antimatter. Antimatter particles are like the opposite version of the matter, the same mass but opposite electric charge. When they collide, antimatter wipes out the regular matter, and the result is pure energy. Dark matter probably makes the universe expand even faster than it used to do. One of the latest theories says it could be responsible for the huge asteroid strike that made the dinosaurs go extinct, too. The universe doesn't have a center, but galaxies do. The Earth makes a circle around the center of the Milky Way once every 250 million years. This orbit is not straightforward, but we can roughly predict it. Once in every 60 million years, we go through the crowded region of our galaxy, known as the galactic disk. At the same time, we can track some harsh mass extinctions in the history of our planet, including the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs about 66 million years ago. Professor Rampino from New York University proposes that dark matter has a gravity that could throw nearby space bodies into the Earth's path whenever we enter the galactic disk. That means some asteroids and comets that would usually be far away from us are flung towards our planet. The biggest thing in the universe, at least the one we know about, is the Hercules Corona Borealis Great Wall. It's a cluster of galaxies 10 billion light-years across, bound together by gravitational force. The biggest elliptical galaxy is IC 1101 and has a diameter of 4 million light-years. The smallest galaxy, Segway 2, we've discovered so far, has a diameter of a little bit over 220 light-years. It's pretty faint and has only 1,000 stars. For comparison, Our galaxy has 100,000 million stars. It orbits the Milky Way.
So, you're going on a journey to a black hole. Well, you'll need a lot of provisions, because the nearest black hole is 1,011 light-years away. This black pearl was found in the solar system called HR 6819. It was hidden in orbit with two other stars, which you can see with the human eye. Scientists have been studying this system since the 80s, but this winter it revealed its main secret. This particular black hole is considered relatively small, but despite this, its mass is 4 times bigger than our Sun, and it's 2,500 light-years closer to Earth than the next nearest black hole. But don't worry. For people, the distance of 1,000 light-years is unreachable. For example, if we were to make a model where the Earth's distance to the Sun was only 0.05 inches, you would have to travel about 4 miles to get to this black hole. But our galaxy, the Milky Way, is about 100,000 light-years wide. So the distance of 1,011 light-years doesn't seem that long in comparison. But before you jump inside this black giant, let me try to discourage you. A black hole is a place in space-time where nothing can leave its orbit. No particles, electromagnetic radiation, or even photons of light can escape from a black hole. So you should understand that a journey to such a dangerous object as a black hole is a one-way ticket. And the way black holes are born is incredible. When a star runs out of fuel, the star collapses under its own weight and becomes a black hole, like the supermassive black hole in the Messier 87 galaxy. Its mass is 7 billion times bigger than the Sun, and it was discovered by the Event Horizon Telescope in April 2019. Okay, good. I see you've already bought a ticket for a faster-than-light spaceship. Since there's no refunds, and you don't want to lose the money, it's time to get ready for the trip. Oh, feel free to leave your luggage at home. 3, 2, 1, off you go. You're leaving Earth's orbit, saying goodbye to the moon, and don't forget to cheer up Pluto by saying it is big enough to be a planet. Then you pass the highway of dark space, and here's your stop, the black hole. Put on your suit, because you're going into outer space. The first thing you see is the event horizon. The gravitational field of a black hole bends the light around its edges, so the event horizon is like a croissant for the observer. Once you reach the event horizon, though, you won't be able to get back out. You may also notice that there's some kind of chaos in this ring. Some lights move in different directions. This happens because you get a mirror effect. But we still don't know what's inside the black hole, so you decide to send in a drone first. The gravity field of the black hole quickly draws in your metal buddy. As soon as he enters the event horizon, his body begins to change its shape. It becomes elongated like a strand of spaghetti, and the closer it gets to the center of the black hole, the longer it becomes. You also notice the drone has slowed its movement and now gradually approaches the black hole center. This is another effect of this space monster. The black hole's vast mass curves not only space but also time. If you hang one watch next to a black hole and another on the wall in your bedroom, you will see that in the first watch, the second hand has barely moved, while a whole day has passed on Earth. And the more massive the black hole, the stronger the effect of slowing time. Theoretically, if you have a spaceship that can overcome the gravity of a black hole, you can fly to it and wait for a few seconds. During this time, your friends on Earth would live a whole life. The flashlight on the head of your drone has turned red. This color change has happened for the same reason. The clocks that are deeper in a gravitational well tick slower when observed from outside. This also affects the photon's wavelength. We see red light because it has the longest wavelength of any color in the visible spectrum. All these things actually happen to the drone in a split second, but it seems slow to you because of the time warp. Alright, it's time to enter the black hole yourself. The final preparation is your suit that will protect you from Hawking radiation. This radiation is created by black holes due to quantum effects near the event horizon. Hawking radiation reduces the weight of the black hole, So if the black hole doesn't absorb more mass from nearby objects, it becomes smaller and then simply disappears. Oh yes, the black holes are also mortal. But Hawking radiation can turn you into ash, and you'd lose the chance to see the black hole from the inside. Okay, now let's do what you traveled 1,011 light-years to do. One big jump, and you are caught in the gravity field of the black hole. This is the point of no return. But your distance allows you to set a stable orbit so that you can spin around the black hole like the moon around the Earth. A little higher, and you'll be thrown into infinity. A little lower, and you will be dragged into the black hole. So, theoretically, planets could exist at this distance, and even inhabited if there were the necessary conditions. A couple of minutes later, and you are approaching the event horizon. Oh, look down. Your body is so long. You are now spaghetti yourself. Look around you. The stars are turning blue. This is called gravitational blue shift. As you fall into a black hole, its gravitational field pulls the photons of light down, giving them energy. Their wavelengths are getting shorter, so the red photons change into blue and everything starts to look blue. Now you are right outside the event horizon, and the only thing you can see is a round blue beam of light above you. But soon you will stop seeing even that. So you've survived the strong gravitational field of a black hole, and the Hawking radiation didn't burn you to ash. You are now in the heart of the most mysterious object in the universe. You have front row seats, but the view is not that impressive. This is the darkest place you've ever been to. Even the usual laws of physics just stop working here. Theoretically, time goes by so slowly here that your home planet could no longer exist, and a new black hole could appear in place of our sun, but you will live exactly as long as there's enough oxygen in your suit. But what if this cosmic object is actually a wormhole that leads to another place in the universe? This is a popular theory, but scientists still can't confirm it. But if it is true, then after a while, you'll see a blue light again. Now you'll experience the same fall, only in reverse. Once you leave the singularity, which means the black hole's heart, you will be in the event horizon. The light from the stars gradually changes from blue to red. You can feel the shaking and warmth from the Hawking radiation. But then you are thrown into outer space, perhaps in some faraway galaxy. No one knows what will happen next. Are you in contact with an unknown life form? Or will the conditions there be intolerable for a human being? Or maybe you will not go to another place in space, but to a parallel universe. This theory also exists. According to it, black holes are portals to other dimensions. Simply put, there are endless copies of our universe. Every time you were faced with a choice, your twin from another universe chose something else. But let's leave that to fantastic movies. Right now, the journey into a black hole is merely impossible for humanity. We can't even reach the nearest one. But one day, we will learn more about these space objects' nature, and maybe this knowledge will push humanity forward and make us a multi-galactic civilization.